Emma, a waitress working 2 shifts to make ends meet, notices a grieving widow sitting alone in the corner of the restaurant. Feeling her grief, Emma decides to pay for the woman's meal out of her own pocket. Little did she know that her small act would change her life forever. Just 2 days later, a lawyer comes to her with news that will change Emma's world in ways she never imagined. Hello everyone, welcome to Stories to Heal. Today I am excited to share a new story with you. Emma has been working in this little restaurant for almost 3 years. It's not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills, if only a little. Every day feels like a struggle between paying rent, student loans, and taking care of her elderly mother. Emma always feels drained, but even though life is hard, Emma never loses her kindness. It was a rainy Wednesday afternoon when she first saw the woman. She was sitting at the end of the restaurant by the window, staring up at the gray sky. Emma could tell something was wrong. The woman's face looked heavy with loss. Her eyes were sunken and red from crying. When Emma approached to take her order, the woman barely glanced at the menu. "I just want tea, nothing else," she said in a low, almost whispering voice. Emma's heart ached. She didn't want to intrude, but she could feel the sadness radiating from the woman. As she prepared the tea, she couldn't help but think how lonely she looked. When she returned with the tea, she hesitated for a moment, then asked, "Is there anything else you need?" The woman shook her head, a small sad smile appearing on her face. "No, that will be fine, thank you," she said. Emma nodded and walked away, but the feeling didn't go away. She watched as the woman slowly sipped her tea, staring off into the distance as if lost in thought. A few minutes later, when the woman quietly asked for the check, Emma made the decision to pay for the tea. Although it was a small gesture, it may have brightened the woman's day. As the woman approached the cashier, Emma smiled and handed her a receipt with a simple note on it. "I'm paying for the food. Take care." The woman looked shocked, her eyes filling with tears as she read the note. She looked at Emma, her voice trailing off as she spoke. I don't know what to say." Emma smiled softly. "No need to say anything. Just take care of yourself, okay?" The woman nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." As the woman left the restaurant, Emma felt a warmth spread through her. She didn't know the woman's life story, but she knew she had made a difference, however small, in that moment. She returned to her duties, the memory of the woman's grateful smile still with her throughout the day. What Emma didn't know was that her small act would lead to something much bigger in her life. 2 days passed, and Emma returned to the usual routine of the restaurant, the soft voices of customers and the clatter of plates. Everything felt as normal as ever. She had almost forgotten about the woman until the door to the restaurant opened and a man in a dark suit entered. His presence drew Emma's attention immediately. He looked out of place, too formal for a restaurant like this. The man scanned the restaurant before going straight to the cashier where Emma was standing. He nodded politely. "Good afternoon, are you Emma?" he asked in a professional but not cold tone. Emma was a little surprised. "Yes, I am Emma. How can I help you?" The man smiled faintly and pulled a folder out of his briefcase. "My name is Mr. Holloway. I am an attorney representing a client who just visited this restaurant." Emma's heart pounded. The memory of the woman thanking him with tears immediately flashed through her mind. "But why is the lawyer looking for me?" she asked anxiously. "Is it because of the woman who came in 2 days ago?" Emma asked carefully. Mr. Holloway nodded. "Yes, that's right. She asked me to find you. My client has just lost her husband and has been grieving ever since. A few days ago, your kindness touched her deeply, more than you can imagine." Emma felt her cheeks flush. She had only bought tea for the woman. It didn't seem like a big deal. "Actually, it was nothing. I just wanted to help," Emma said, her voice trailing off. The lawyer smiled softly, sensing Emma's humility. "It may seem like a small gesture to you, but it means the world to him. He was at the lowest point in his life, and your kindness gave him hope." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She didn't know what to say, but before she could respond, Mr. Holloway continued, My client was so moved by what you did that he decided to give you a large financial gift. Emma's eyes widened in shock. A financial gift? The lawyer nodded, opened a folder, and pulled out a document. He wanted to express his gratitude in a way that could make a real difference in your life. You have been selected to receive a substantial sum of money, enough to help you in a way he feels is appropriate given your own hardships. Emma stared at the document, her mind racing. She had never imagined that something like this could happen. It felt like a dream. I don't know what to say, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Mr. Halloway smiled kindly. No need to say anything. Just know that your kindness has made a difference, and now her kindness will make a difference in your life. Emma sat in silence, still in shock, as Mr. Halloway placed the document in front of her. The restaurant felt quieter than usual, as if the world had slowed down for a moment. She stared at the document, still trying to process what had just been said. How much? She finally asked, her voice barely audible. Mr. Halloway cleared his throat and looked at the document in front of him. Enough to cover all your current financial worries and more. Here's $50,000. Emma gasped. $50,000? She couldn't believe what she'd just heard. That amount could change everything. The rent, the debt, her mother's care, all the burdens that had weighed on her for years could be gone in an instant. I don't know if I can handle this, Emma said, her voice shaking as she looked up at the lawyer. Mr. Halloway looked at her with a gentle but firm gaze. My client was very clear. It wasn't just about the money. It was about what you had done for her. She wanted to repay the favor, and this is how she chose to do it. Emma nodded slowly, her head still spinning. She hadn't expected anything in return for the small gesture, and she had almost forgotten about it after that day. But now, sitting here with the lawyer, accepting a life-changing offer of money, she realized how powerful kindness could be. As Mr. Halloway explained the details of how the funds would be transferred to her, Emma's mind drifted back to the woman. She pictured her sitting in the corner of the restaurant, her face filled with sadness. Emma knew she was grieving, but she hadn't realized the depth of it. When Mr. Halloway had finished explaining, he stood up and handed Emma a business card. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me. My client wanted me to assure you that there are no strings attached to this gift. It's just her way of saying thank you. Emma stood up as well, still holding the card in her trembling hands. Please convey my thanks to your client, she said in a husky voice. Mr. Halloway nodded and walked out of the restaurant, leaving Emma still stunned. In the weeks following the incident, Emma began to turn her life around with the help of the money she received. She immediately paid off the debts that had been weighing on her mind, then sent her mother to the hospital for a better health checkup, a step she had long dreamed of taking. In addition, Emma began saving for the future, planning more stable steps for a more peaceful life. Although her life was beginning to change in a more positive direction, Emma realized that despite all the changes, the simple act she did paying for tea for a grieving woman would remain a memory that changed everything. Sometimes seemingly simple and small acts of kindness have a much bigger and deeper impact than we ever imagined. Like this story? Click like to subscribe to more stories, and share your thoughts with one word in the comment section.